What's the role for Brandon? I mean, is it a slot receiver? Or
Yeah, he'll be one of those guys who'll be able to, his experience as a running back, and then his ability to go out and play in space is something that, we'll be able to, do some things where we shift him back, in the backfield, and it's not going to be out of character that he can, take a handoff, that he can even protect, where needed in the quick game as you do some shifts and motions and put guys in different spots, hopefully not allowing a defense to kind of narrow in on exactly where every guy is. And, at that receiver part, D-Rob's done an outstanding job accepting the different spots we're trying to get him into. So it's not there again. You can't just say, okay, that guy's over there, let's take him away, and, that kind of thing. So the flexibility is something that we're looking for.
We kind of have an X factor.
Yeah, I really think so. It'll be interesting because, obviously we missed, about 6 practices with that foot, something, maybe 7. But at the same time, we saw enough to where we're going to be able to use this guy in a lot of different spots.
Is there a guy at Alabama he reminds you of from your offense at Alabama?
Oh, I hate ever doing that, only because, everybody has their own special niche. And these guys, in that receiver corps, we need some guys to really step up and play with detail and consistency, and he's one of those guys that did it.
Coach, you know the history of Florida's offense over the last 4 or 5 years. That's why you're here. How much do you sense from the fan base during the booster clubs that they really are hungry?
Yeah, well, that's obviously one of the things, and yet, it's our responsibility to get those guys in place. And really what I'm looking at is seeing how these older guys have transitioned this new crew of guys that are coming in, because some of those guys are going to have to, come in, and we don't know who they are yet. We haven't gone to practice in August, and yet kind of indoctrinate them into our expectations on how we do things. And I'm really proud of our older guys that have jumped in and embraced that. So, for us, we need to create explosive plays. Obviously, we need to be able to change field position. Some of that might be we'll need to take some chances in the special teams, situations to maybe get a couple more possessions. Those are kinds of things as you build looking forward that we're just going to have to do until we get these, get these guys coming along.
Are those most of the questions you're getting at the booster clubs about, what are you going to do to make the offense?
Yes, yeah. There's been quite a few. It's like, here's what this is always pretty good because, I tell them, I says, look, I'll answer any question you guys have. The only rule is as long as it's not a stupid question. Right? That usually silences a lot of people.
You have been head coach now all summer. What's it been like for you, and how many times have you sung the Boys from Florida?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was a neat deal, and see it in Coach Graves' memorial. That was really something special right there. And
you had a little help there, didn't you?
Yeah, that was awful neat, and I got goosebumps right now. The traditions is what makes college football so great, and that's one of them. And I look forward to that and seeing that. Hopefully, we got a lead when they're doing it, right?
What's the biggest change? What's the biggest change you've seen since you've gotten here in the program that you wanted to see? Something that's kind of changed.
I'm not sure because I didn't know. I didn't have any experience of what was there, so I don't really think necessarily change. I've been really happy with, how these guys have embraced what we're asking them to do. I get great reports from down in the weight room with our strength staff as far as how they're attacking the workouts every day. And really, one of the things we constantly talk about is, every day we got a chance to get a little bit better. And for the most part, I've been proud of those guys. And so, that part's been good. But as far as the change, I'm not sure. I wasn't here, so I'm not sure.
Just anything with the culture and then you saw when you first got here that you wanted to kind of move in a different direction.
The way our guys practiced in the spring, I was, really happy, with having seen, those 5 or 6, practices before, just kind of how they approached it, the way they handled the meetings, that kind of stuff I thought was really good. And trying to create the chaos for them that, we try to do is create as much chaos as possible. And what I mean by that is, you know, on game day, to be able to cut out the things that aren't important, but focusing on winning that down, you know, I thought we came a long ways in the spring to doing that.
Jim, how big was Jonathan Bullard's return? Not just because you lost your best pass rusher in Dante, but
Sure.
also the senior leadership that was lost from last year.
I'm telling you, what he has done, I mean, I just can't tell you how proud I am of the way he's taken, in fact, sitting in the office saying, you know, I'm ready to take a true leadership role and bring these guys along and show them how to do it. And you know, Chris Rump's done an outstanding job building that relationship as well. And you know, that's huge because, you know, we lost a lot of guys that got drafted, you know, who were pretty good players. And so for him coming back, he'd have been one of those guys, you know.
Yeah.
For him to come back is, you know, I tell you what, we're really excited
Where will
about
he
it.
fit in the defensive line, and what do you feel like his talent level is?
Well, what we hope to do is be able to move him around quite a bit. So there again, it gets a little bit too, from an offensive standpoint, if you always know where that guy is, you can always slide your protection, chip it back, you know, bump him with a tight end on the way out, whatever that is, right? So what we try to do is make sure that we're putting them at some different spots so it's not as easy, you know, from an offensive standpoint to know where that guy is. Does that
Yeah, absolutely.
answer your question?
What's the timeline on Antonio Morrison? Sorry. Timeline.
You know, we don't have one necessarily. You know, he'll be limited to no contact when we go. He's come a long ways in a short period of time. But as I've told you before, and I'll tell you again, I will never put a player on the field that's not ready. And you know, so time will tell there. I know how hard he's working at it. And he's been one of those guys that has really elevated a lot of the people in their workouts by how hard he is, you know, in there working every day to get back.
Not injury related,
Trip
but
Thurman.
what is,
Trip Thurman, sorry, that's just the other guy.
Yeah,
Is he
Trip's
gonna-
good, yeah.
He's gonna be ready to roll?
Ready to roll. Yeah.
not injury related, but what's Janar Bostwick's status right now?
Well, right now, you know, he's still dealing with some things, you know, that he needs to take care of, and then we'll see where that goes. Is, you know, there's some personal things in guys' lives, you know, and you know what, we're going to help them deal with those.
What have your observations been of Vernon since you got here?
Oh, he's all that's been advertised. I mean, that guy's a great player, understands how to handle himself, gets it, and loves to compete. That's what I love about those guys. You know, they like to practice, and when the competition is there, he just really he elevates his play even a little bit more, which then in turn, the people around him, even, you know, the offensive guys, they can elevate a little bit based off of that energy.
Was Grady brought in to play quarterback, or will he compete at wide receiver? What do you guys kind of envision?
He's been doing some quarterback stuff. As you know, we don't, you know, have a lot of bodies there. And so, you know, he's a guy that has played the position, is doing that this spring, and yet brings some, you know, did it at Vanderbilt, obviously, and he obviously brings some, a guy that's been in there studying, doing that kind of thing, and so right now he's running a quarterback.
Is there an ideal way the quarterback situation can kind of unfold for you? Would you rather have a starter by game one, or?
Yeah, I don't really want to pin it down yet, because I don't think that's fair to the guys in the competition. You know, when time is made, you know, we'll, you know, hopefully when we get out there in August, I think it'll really tell us which one of those guys has elevated not only their play, but more so how the people respond to them when they're moving the team on the field, and you know, in drills and that kind of stuff. And as a quarterback, that is huge. It's, you know, you can have a ton of talent and this and that, but if the guys around you aren't willing to have your back, well, it ain't gonna work real good.
Guys, how has Mason Halter kind of improved the veteran leadership on the offensive line? Has he been that guy that's kind of been that veteran guy?
Well, and he's still getting his feet wet. He hasn't been here a long time, and I'm sure glad he's here, because next choice was me, I think.
Who has been that leader on offense?